Good morning, it's Jonathan Barrett with the morning debrief. It's the 24th of September, the current time 7:47. Okay, well, a little bit of a correction in the Dow. Market a little bit concerned on economic growth. Profits from the banks looking to be a little bit less, and as a result, that US dollar actually rallied a little bit. Still didn't dent in the appeal for gold, though, and I still think this is quite interesting. Bernanke's comments, QE2, still suggesting that any form of stimulus that comes out will accompany, obviously, a debase of the US dollar. And as a result, that gold will continue to climb. So gold once again hit a new record high, but came off a little bit. Still think 1,300 is certainly something that we're going to look at in terms of return. Let's see how it goes down. Let's see how the market really wants to take it from there. Okay, let's have a quick look at the stocks. What happened last night? Just coming up. Okay, the Dow was down 76, 10,662. The S&P down 9.45. Nasdaq was off 747. Over in Europe, a little bit not as weak, but okay. The stock 50 was down 14, FTSE was down 4, the CAC down 24, and the DAC down 23. Remember, Europe has been weaker for most of the week, whilst the US was actually relatively strong. Closer to home, we saw the S&P was down, the SPY was down 45, 4,613. Obviously, a little bit of weakness out of the US there, helping that, and also Governor Stevens' comments concerning interest rates moving high, just dampening under expectations on the Aussie. Could be a little bit of an intermediate high there for that Aussie too, that Aussie market as well. So I think a few of us are looking to exit some positions. Okay, let's have a quick look at what we're seeing here in terms of a few of the markets. Dollar index, as you can see from that move, had a nice little bounce there last night. Quite interesting. See that low there? That was the low in August. So if we close above that low through 80.45, then probably suggests that we might have some low of significance there. Any chance of anyone going long dollars, you would put a stop, obviously, below that, around that 79.50 level. As a result of that, it didn't really affect too many of the commodities. Some of the softs are under pressure. Crude continues just to have actually a reasonable run last night. Crude is actually doing very well to hold up, given that we had another build in inventories and at record highs. It seems to be holding up quite nicely. If it takes out this high here, which is around that 75.45 level, then you could conclude that it is in a bit of a range. Naturally here on stops, then below that 72, 73.30, I would put them in. But this sort of formation is interesting. High consolidation. Now it either breaks the top side back to 82, or it fails miserably and we're down at 70. So quite a decent opportunity there. Having a look at copper. Copper seems to be holding up quite nicely, even given that we strength. I think if anything there, it still looks good. Let's see if it takes out that 360 level. That's certainly a key that we're looking at. And if we do that, then I'm sort of feeling that we're off to the races. Remember, one thing in the base metals is that there's going to be a lot of infrastructure needs now. I mean, in India, in China, and given that these markets are in a structural deficit, then they could be quite supportive down the track. So that's a long-term fundamental feeling for what's happening there. And with the floods in China, everything, drought problems in Auckland, there'll be a lot of need for infrastructure metals, and copper and nickel, I think, will be well sought after. So just keep an eye on those ones there. Okay. Okay, so we looked at that. Let's have a look at gold. That's obviously the important one then, 1292 at the moment. As you can see, this formation here actually is a bullish formation, believe it or not. Let's just move that down a bit. It is a bullish formation. It hasn't told us anything yet that we should be buying or should be selling. In fact, if anything, most people would try and say, well, if it gets through 1300, I'll add 2 positions. So really not a lot you can do there except trade with the trend. And at the moment, there's nothing of a turnaround in sight. Okay, having a look at the Aussie 94.85, US dollar strength, and obviously hurt it a little bit. If Aussie goes up the stairs, down the escalator, just be mindful of that. And if it takes out that 94.30, chances are that she will come under quite a bit of pressure. So the market is certainly very long there. So just be mindful of that. Maybe a little bit of consolidation back to 94 is under cards for that Aussie. Have a look at the local market, down 45 last night. As we know, 46.08 is where she's trading. And look, I think a lot of people are starting to feel that we're due for some form of correction. Aussie generally does surprise us, but as you can see, resistance turns support, and I think if it takes out that 4600 or 4580, then down we go. So I think that is in itself quite good. Okay, so Aussie market might be due for a bit of correction. Those daily charts there on the SPY, obviously we've had a terrific run there of late, and maybe we're just in for a little bit of profit taking. This sort of formation doesn't really give you much to go on, and we're still within a bit of a range. Okay, so that's it. Just have a quick look at the Dow, what we can see here, and because you can see that momentum indicators certainly indicating that we're in for a bit of a treat to the downside, a little bit of profit taking perhaps, and I think that's pretty much on the cards. And as you can see, a takeout last night's low would probably suggest market trades lower. How much lower will it go on this correction? We can actually, let's draw a little bit of a line here, trend line. Let's see if we can just build that on there. And there we go. I think that's the trend you got to look at the moment. So back to that trend line, 10,200, 300, and certainly looks all right. If it does fail or break those trends, then it's a different story. Okay. Righty-ho, let's have a quick look at what the economic calendar we got out. And I think the most important stuff here is the IFO index out of Germany. So that's going to be pretty close to look at, and must keep a good eye on that one. We've got a lot of Fed, a lot of talk happening from all the Fed chairmen. Bernanke speaks at Princeton. You know, we've got the Fed's Duke, the mortgage hearing, New York's Fed's coming, speak at Chicago. So there's a lot of, whether there's going to be a lot of confidence coming out of these talks will be implicit in how the market will actually trade. But we do have some good numbers, durable goods orders, which will be very important. New home sales, we're expecting some good numbers here, 295,000. New home sales month on month, meant to be positive. So this could provide us with some positive data. We are certainly looking forward, and whether or not it'll be as positive what we expect is another thing. And you might get that situation where we get strong numbers, but not as strong as what people had expected. So so that's a bit of it for today. Some good numbers tonight. Let's see how we go with those. We're a week long on gold, expecting that 1,300, and just basically just sitting down and seeing what's going to happen. Look, there should be a correction sometime on gold, but whilst we see those emphasis on QE2 and quantity of easing, then I suggest that we'll consider perhaps the gold trade might come off a little bit. But if these stimulus packages do come out, then that will support gold. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If that wasn't clear, just have a look at the tweets because we summed it up there quite nicely. Okay, have a great day and happy trading, and we'll talk to you soon.